For any valid enrollment into a course, the student must have taken all its prerequisite courses with passing grades in the same or previous years. In this lab, we will write a SQL trigger definition for whenever a new enrollment of a student into a course is inserted into the database. If the student has not fulfilled the prerequisite requirements, the insertion into the table tags will not proceed and an error message will be produced by calling the stored procedure check prerequisite. We need to define the procedure using the SQL window before creating the trigger. So let's create the trigger function check prerequisite. So on the left, we see the trigger function under the post. So it's like this. So Postgres. So under the database, there is Postgres, and so let's see. Under the schemas, if you click on the schemas, there is something called trigger function. So let's click on it and then click on create and then trigger function. So we are creating a trigger function and the name of the trigger function is check prerequisite. Then we click on definition. So Auna is Postgres, schema is public. Click on definition. It's automatically selecting retain type trigger. Language is PLPG SQL. Let it be. Let's click on code. So in the code, we will write the code like this. We will begin and end. So we will have begin in the start and end with the semicolon on the right. And then inside it, if exist, open bracket, select one from text T1. So it takes we are letting it be T1. Join prerequisite table, let it be P, on T1 course ID equal P dot prerequisite ID. By doing this, we are checking for the prerequisite requirement, where T1 ID equal new ID, so the new student is coming in and we checking the prerequisite requirement for the new student. So T1.id equal new.id and P, which is in the prerequisite table, dot course ID equal new.course ID. So the new student wants to take a course, and so in the prerequisite table, the course ID, we are checking for new course ID. And T1 year, so in the table text table, the year for the course, and that course will be prerequisite course for this new course, and T1.year is less than or equal to new.year. So the course in the year in which the new student wants to take the course, we need to check if the prerequisite year is less than or equal to new year. And T1 grade. So T1 grade is the prerequisite grade and we want it to be a passing grade. So we say less than D minus. Less than D minus means A plus, A minus, B plus, B minus, C plus, C minus. Then retain. So close the bracket then retain, so open bracket, new dot id, the new student's data information, new dot course id, new dot section id, comma, new dot semester, comma, new dot year, comma, new dot grade, close the bracket, semicolon. That's the end of the function. And then else, if it doesn't exist, then else raise exception. Student, this percentage sign that we have will be fulfilled by the data. Student did not fulfill the prerequisite requirement for course percentage. Full stop. So first percentage will have new dot id, student id, and then the second percentage for course will have new dot course id and the semicolon to finish the loop. And then we will have and if, and then the semicolon, and then the end. And then let's have a look at options. It retains a set, and save that. And now we want to create a trigger. So let's click on trigger, and we click on object, click on create, and then trigger. The trigger, let it be prerequisite violation. And then the definition, that's a raw trigger, and the trigger function is the one we have just created, check underscore prerequisite. This public dot check underscore prerequisite, we will select that. And then we will click on events. When we click on before, so it has before has the option, and before insert, and then click on transition, don't have to, save. So that is saved now. So we have check prerequisite table and the prerequisite violation table created. So let's play with some values. Let's try to insert into text values ID number 76543, course CS315, section ID 1, and semester spring 2020 is the year, and the grade is null. So let's have a look at the text table. So let's look at the ID number 76543. 76543, let's look at the prerequisite. Select all from prerequisite table. Okay, so if we look at prerequisite table, we see that if I look at CS315, the prerequisite is 101, CS101. So let's look at 76543, ID number 76543, and has he completed CS101? He has taken CS101 for section ID 1 in fall 2019 and got an A grade. So that's okay. So he can take CS315. So if I run this query, insert into text values for 76543, the course code is CS315, it should insert in the table. Query retained successfully. Now let's look at the text table. Run the code again. Let's see if 76543, yes, it has been inserted. Okay. Now let's look at ID number 0001 and CS. No, there is no CS. He hasn't. The student ID 00001 hasn't completed CS 101, so it shouldn't be entered. So let's change this ID to CS. Um, sorry, 00001, and let's see what it does. The error. There is an error. Student 00001 did not fulfill the prerequisite requirement for course CS315. Okay. Now let's look at the text table. Let's run it. So we don't see 00001 being entered for CS315. Now let's have a look at ID number 45678. So 45678 completed did CS101 for section ID 1 in fall 2019 and achieved a D minus grade. But so he is not eligible, but he, but he has taken the CS101 again for section ID 1 in spring 2020 and achieved B plus. So he is eligible. So let's see if this query insert into text values and we change this to 45678. Let's see if our trigger and check function check prerequisite does the correct thing. Let's run this. Okay, query returned successfully. Let's run the text table command and we have 45678 CS315 1 is spring 2020 grade null is being entered. Now there should be someone who has there might be someone who has failed a course, failed a prerequisite. Let's see. 45678. No. Okay. So so we have shown that the check prerequisite function and the trigger prerequisite violation is working correctly.